Hello, Coursera's here. Welcome back to my latest video. Today we will talk about Roswell incident. Exactly 60 years ago, a light aircraft was flying over the Cascade Mountains in Washington state, at a height of around 10,000 feet. Suddenly, a brilliant flash of light illuminated the aircraft. Visibility was good, and as pilot Kenneth Arnold scanned the sky to find the source of the light, he saw a group of 9 shiny metallic objects flying in formation. He estimated their speed as being around 1,600 miles per hour, nearly 3 times faster than the top speed of any jet aircraft at the time. He described the craft as arrow-shaped and said they moved in a jerky motion, like a saucer would if you skipped it across the water. A reporter seized on this phrase and in his story described the objects as flying saucers. The age of the unidentified flying object, UFO, had begun. Soon, similar reports began to come in from all over America. This wasn't just the world's first UFO sighting, this was the birth of a phenomenon, one that still exercises an extraordinary fascination. Then, 2 weeks after Arnold's sighting, something happened that was to lead to the biggest UFO conspiracy theory of all time. On or around July 2, 1947, something crashed in the desert near a military base at Roswell, New Mexico. Military authorities issued a press release, which began, "The many rumors regarding the flying disc became a reality yesterday when the intelligence officer of the 509th Bomb Group of the 8th Air Force, Roswell Army Airfield, was fortunate enough to gain possession of a disc." The headline screamed, "Flying disc captured by Air Force." Yet, just 24 hours later, the military changed their story and claimed the object they'd first thought was a flying disc was a weather balloon that had crashed on a nearby ranch. Amazingly, the media and the public accepted the explanation without question, in a way that would not happen now. Roswell disappeared from the news until the late 70s, when some of the military involved began to speak out. The key witness was Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer who had gone to the ranch to recover the wreckage. He described the metal as being wafer-thin but incredibly tough. It was as light as balsa wood, but couldn't be cut or burned. Some witnesses described seeing strange inscriptions on the wreckage. These and similar accounts of the incident have largely been dismissed by all except the most dedicated believers. But last week came an astonishing new twist to the Roswell mystery, which casts new light on the incident and raises the possibility that we have, indeed, been visited by aliens. Lieutenant Walter Haut was the public relations officer at the base in 1947, and was the man who issued the original and subsequent press releases after the crash on the orders of the base commander, Colonel William Blanchard. Haut died last year, but left a sworn affidavit to be opened only after his death. Last week, the text was released and asserts that the weather balloon claim was a cover story, and that the real object had been recovered by the military and stored in a hangar. He described seeing not just the craft, but alien bodies. He wasn't the first Roswell witness to talk about bodies. Local undertaker Glenn Dennis had long claimed that he was contacted by authorities at Roswell shortly after the crash and asked to provide a number of child-sized coffins. When he arrived at the base, he was apparently told by a nurse, who later disappeared, that a UFO had crashed and that small humanoid extraterrestrials had been recovered. But Haut is the only one of the original participants to claim to have seen alien bodies. Haut's affidavit talks about a high-level meeting he attended with Base Commander Colonel William Blanchard and the commander of the 8th Army Air Force, General Roger Ramey. Haut states that at this meeting, pieces of wreckage were handed around for participants to touch, with nobody able to identify the material. He says the press release was issued because locals were already aware of the crash site, but in fact there had been a second crash site, where more debris from the craft had fallen. The plan was that an announcement acknowledging the first site, which had been discovered by a rancher, would divert attention from the second and more important location. Haut also spoke about the cleanup operation, where for months afterwards military personnel scoured both crash sites searching for all remaining pieces of debris, removing them and erasing all signs that anything unusual had occurred. This ties in with claims made by locals that debris collected as souvenirs was seized by the military. Haught then tells how Colonel Blanchard took him to Building 84, one of the hangars at Roswell, and showed him the craft itself. He describes a metallic egg-shaped object around 12 to 15 feet in length and around 6 feet wide. He said he saw no windows, wings, tail, landing gear or any other feature. He saw 2 bodies on the floor, partially covered by a tarpaulin. They are described in his statement as about 4 feet tall, with disproportionately large heads. Towards the end of the affidavit, Hawk concludes, "I am convinced that what I personally observed was some kind of craft and its crew from outer space." Thank you for watching. Corsair out.